we should probably talk about what's been going on in the world the last 4 or 5 months, because it's been a crazy time. And, maybe we start with fear, because it's all really based around fear, everything that's happened, and a lot of different things have happened. But there's something that you say, I'm going to quote something you've said before, and you said, quote, "During my time as a monk, I learned to lose my fear of fear, so that instead of allowing it to motivate me in negative ways, such as avoiding punishment, humiliation, or failure, I'm now able to recognize the opportunities that fear signals." I'm curious about how you got that relationship with fear, and how you can process it, because, we live in a brand new world now with fear.
Yes, absolutely. And first of all, I just want to say, and I mean this, that what the world has experienced in the last 5 to 6 months is such an extreme test of tolerance and our ability to be resilient and ability to overcome fear, that if anyone feels that they have not held it together, they shouldn't judge themselves. Because it's almost like you can't take the hardest test of all time and expect to come out passing flying colors without any preparation beforehand. And so if anything, what should happen for us, instead of feeling guilty and sad about not responding in a perfect way, whatever that is, we should actually feel encouraged that now is the time to go inward, that now is the time to build up those skills, that we should become prepared when we least expect it, because who knows what is out there. And so the preparation, my favorite example from the Bhagavad Gita is of Arjun, who's a warrior and a fighter. It's almost like the fighter doesn't go out on the battlefield and hope that they have the skills. They train every single day so that when the battle appears, that they're ready. What's happened in all of our lives is we've had zero training and zero preparation, and all of a sudden you're thrown into this battlefield. And of course, none of us can completely hold it together. So for me, I see it as more of a wake-up call and a cry to all of us to say, please use your time to feel prepared, to feel ready, to grow and invest in yourself, so that next time, no matter what it is that comes our way, that you're prepared and you have the quality to stay still. That's the first thing I'd start with. But how you started with fear when you start that training is that the first thing that fear does is it should hopefully connect you to wanting to build up the skills to deal with that fear. But actually, a lot of our responses, as we know through psychology, and I talk about them in the book, a lot of our responses are we freeze, we get stuck, right? We go, okay, I'm stuck. Or we run away. We run away and we try and avoid these issues. Or we bury ourselves and we try and forget about them. And so our responses to fear, what we don't realize, create more fear, because you only become more fearful about something the less you know about it. Because the less you know about it means there's more unknown. Why do we fear the darkness? Because it's unknown. Why do we fear what's beyond our solar system? Because we don't know. It's when we don't know that we're in fear. If you are playing a team in another sport and you don't know their strengths, you'll feel fearful. If you're about to walk into a tourist destination and you don't know the ins and outs of it, you'll feel fear because it's an unknown place. So it's crazy to me that we remain in a state of unknowingness in our own lives and emotions, because we feel scared of actually getting intimate with our fear. We get scared of being present and close to our fear. And that's why we try and put fear to the back of our minds. We try and run away from it. So the first thing to do is, when you feel that there's something that you're scared of or upset about, a common example is how we all avoid conflict. No one likes tough conversation. And what I started to do was, rather than try and run away from tough conversations and try and find excuses and answers, I would try and find the easiest option in the beginning for me to just come out and share the truth or where I was at with it. A good example, funnily enough, is today's podcast. So I was late for today's podcast for a legitimate reason, because I'm working with someone and they needed my time. And my fear response was, oh God, Brian's going to be so upset. His team's like waited late in London. we could just make up an excuse to make them all feel better and just patch it all up. And I was like, no, I'm not going to take that option. I'm going to call up James and I'm going to tell him exactly what happened, be really honest about it. And I'm going to face it because that's the best I can do. And actually that relieves all of us of any pressure and stress. And whether you take it the right way or the wrong way, that's not it's not my responsibility, or it's not my decision for how you respond, because that is your own mind and that is your own decision. But I need to get close to my fear. So the first thing I'd say is, when you have a fear response, instead of running away from it or trying to figure out how to get away from it or avoid it, ask yourself, what am I truly fearful of? Where is this fear coming from? And continue to ask yourself, when you come up with a fear, and I call it the why ladder in the book, when you come up with a fear, so I give the example in the book that, and let's take a more common example. So you may say, I am fearful of COVID. And that's a very normal fear to have, nothing wrong with it. And I think that's the other problem. We think our fears are wrong. So then we don't want to get intimate with them.
Right.
But I would say, okay, well, why are you afraid of COVID? And you may say, I'm afraid because I might lose my job. And you say, okay, why are you afraid of losing your job? Because I need to pay the bills and I need to take care of my family. Why do you think that paying the bills is what's going to take care of your family and everything else? Because I need to put food on the table. Why do you need to put food on the table? Because I want my family to feel loved and cared for and nourished. Why do you want your family to feel loved and cared for and nourished? Because I love them. And then you realize, wait a minute, what they're really looking for is love. And if I can, even in this pain, choose to give them love, then I'm actually giving them what they need. And now I'll find all the ways to make the money, figure out my business, get food on the table and do that. But if I really realize that what I'm scared of is that COVID is going to stop me from giving love to my family. And that's actually not true. You can give love to your family. And then hopefully in that stress-free of like letting go of that, you actually give yourself the energy to go and figure out the other stuff. And so I'm not saying that losing your job means you can just do this activity and you'll be free of fear. What I'm saying is that it's your fear that's blocking you from finding the focus to solve the situation. And doing this why ladder exercise actually helps you realize what you think you're being blocked from. But usually that's right within your control. Nothing is blocking you from that.